Hello everybody, welcome back to another video where I talk about the top 10 light novels in Japan, this time for the week of July 31st to August 6th. Now, I did this for the first time last week, got some really great feedback from all of you. I'm going to try and incorporate it, and I really want to try and make these videos as useful for people as possible, even though a number of these series are not available in English. So what I'm going to do is in the description there, I will be listing all the titles that I talk about. There will be links to other websites that have a little bit more information about these series. In some cases, yes, they will probably have links to fan translations, or at least places where you can find out a little bit more about the series. I know I don't do fan translation reviews here, but I have stated I am not someone who hates on them. I just prefer if we can get official versions better. But I want you to be able to find out information about these series. And if there are ones that sound really interesting to you, there are certain companies that are translating light novels into English that open up sort of forums and such, and they ask readers what we want to see. So I'm kind of hoping that this is a series where maybe can start sort of educating all of us about some of the titles that are out there and popular and not currently available. And these are things that we can start requesting as a community to get our hands on. So let's get back into the list. This time I'm going to do 15 of the top selling light novels. The reason behind that is that there is one series that holds, out of these top 15, 5 spots in the top 15 list. It's really amazing what can happen when an anime series comes out. This really sort of hits home that whole idea that, to a certain extent, anime series are now being seen as vehicles to promote light novels, and certainly in some cases, it seems to work. So let's get into the list. At number 15, with 4,360 units sold, Kimi no Na wa. Now, this is the novelization of Your Name. Uber popular anime movie. This is the novelization based on the film. So the film came first. This is the novelization based on it. Now, you can actually buy the novel right now. It is available from Yen On. They did do a English official version of it, released a couple of months ago. Admittedly, I have not read it, but that's basically because I watched the movie, and with so many other things to read that I haven't seen an anime or anything of it, I kind of am prioritizing books that I have not seen or read any other versions of. I can say that I loved the film. There's a lot of really good, interesting themes that I can see why the film is popular. As an adult, the one that really spoke to me, and I talked a little bit about this on Twitter, on my Twitter account, was this whole idea of being an adult and feeling like something is missing. And in the story, well, there's a very specific thing that they feel they're missing, but I think that's just a general thing that as an adult you can often feel, is this whole idea that no matter how much you are pushing yourself through your life and doing things, that there just seems to be something that you're constantly looking for that you haven't found. At the number 14 spot, with 4,462 units sold, we have Youkoso Jitsuryoku Shijou Shugi no Kyoushitsu. Again, don't kill me for my pronunciations. This is a work in progress. However, to make things easier, this is also known as Classroom of the Elite. Very easy to say. Now, this is the series that occupies 5 spots on this list. I'm only going to talk about it once at this point, so we'll just skip over when we get there. This is actually volume 6, the most recent volume, that's at the number 14 spot, which is kind of funny when you think about it, and I'll tell you why when we get there. Now, there's no current English license for the light novel. There's a manga adaptation, but the same thing, it's not been licensed. However, there is an anime series, like I mentioned. It is currently on Crunchyroll. They're doing their whole simulcast of it, so we get it within hours of it showing in Japan. So you can watch the anime, but currently no official English release for the light novels, not even an announcement. But this one, story-wise, Kodo Ikusai Senior High School, a leading prestigious school with state-of-the-art facilities where nearly 100% of students go on to university or find employment. The students there have the freedom to wear any hairstyle and bring any personal effects they desire. Kodo Ikusai is paradise-like school, but the truth is that only the most superior of students receive favorable treatment. The protagonist, Kiyotaka Ayano Koji, is a student of D class, which is where the school dumps its inferior students in order to ridicule them. For a certain reason, Kiyotaka was careless on his entrance examination and was put in D class. After meeting Suzune Horikita and Kikyo Kushida, two other students in his class, Kiyotaka's situation begins to change. So again, no license, but you can watch the anime right now. And the number 13 spot we have, with 4,486 units sold, Kamisama Honey, volume number 2. Now, this one is actually a spin-off series of a series called Kamisama Darling. And there's no English license of either series. And really, I could only find a description of the root series, Kamisama Darling, which is university student Satake Aoi wakes up rolled up in a red string and with a stranger inside his house that says he's a god. Aoi escapes, but something is different. He's now extremely popular, and everybody's fighting for his attention. What's the relation between these events and some promise he made with the man that calls himself the god Okuni Nushi no Mikoto, and what will happen from now on? At the number 12 spot, Classroom of the Elite, volume number 4. So an actually older volume has ranked higher on the chart. Interesting and useful to note because, again, remember I said it shows you how an anime can help a series. We'll talk more about that. At number 11, with 4,897 volumes sold, we have Isekai de Café wo Kaiten Shimashita, volume number 10. There's no English license, and I couldn't find anything about a manga or an anime adaptation. So as far as I know, this is strictly a light novel series. Kurokawa Lisa is an ordinary office worker who has practiced lots of cooking while living alone. One day, she wakes up in another world with a concerned little spirit hovering over her. She has apparently been transferred to a magical, spirit-filled realm by the will of the goddess, and there is no known way for her to go back. She is taken in by a wealthy couple, and they and her new spirit helper treat her with nothing but kindness. There is one problem, however. The food in this magical world is gross. Lisa insists on helping the household cooking staff prepare a traditional meal from her world, and it is a big hit with her hosts. Soon, Lisa knows what she should do in this new world. She should open a cafe and treat everyone to delicious food. This seems to be a bigger thing. Of course, we have the anime right now of Restaurant from Another World or To Another World, which is another novel that we haven't had announced in English. So yeah, I mean, this whole like Isekai cafe thing or restaurant or bringing food from Japan to people in another world seems to be an increasing sort of subgenre of the whole Isekai genre. At number 10, 9, and 8, we have Classroom of the Elite. And at the number 8 spot is volume 1, at number 9 is volume 2, and at number 10 is volume 3. So there you go, volumes 1, 2, and 3 of a series that's up to its 6th volume are actually in the top 10 this week. Why? Well, we can only assume it's because of the anime. I don't know if there was some like big pivotal episode in the past week or two, maybe that suddenly got everybody on the hype train for this series or not. I haven't watched it because, again, as if you watch this channel, you know that I kind of avoid watching any anime based on light novels until I have an idea of whether we're going to get the light novel or not. But yeah, so I don't know if there was some major episode that happened that was such a bad cliffhanger or whatever that everybody jumped and went and ran and bought the books. Don't know, but totally Classroom of the Elite is like owning the top 15 list this week. At number 7, now I found this interesting, 6,040 volumes sold. It is Nier Automata. This is from what I can see, this is a novelization of the video game. Now, I have started playing Nier Automata, and I can say it is a great game, and the story is very intriguing. You know, you only have to go like scratch the surface online to see just how much love there is for this particular video game and the story. And man, there's just some amazing fan art and everything else. So it's not too shocking to me that it's come out and that it's selling well. I'm just kind of surprised that it got a novel adaptation. And from what I can see on Amazon Japan, it looks like there's going to be at least another volume, and that it's a 2-volume adaptation. At number 6, now, of course, now I should mention there's no English deal for Nier Automata, which is kind of a drag, because even playing the game, I think I would read the book. At number 6, with 9,738 volumes, we have Isekai Mao to Shokan Shoujo no Dore Majutsu, volume number 8. This is also known as The King of Darkness, Another World Story, or The Otherworld Demon King and the Summoning Girl's Slave Magic. So volume number 8 of this series, there's no English license, and from what I can see, there's no manga or anime at this point either, so there's really not a whole lot of ways to enjoy this one if you speak English. In terms of the story, in regards to the MMORPG Cross Reverie, Sakamoto Takuma boasted an overwhelming strength that was enough for him to be called the Demon King by other players. One day, he gets summoned to another world with his appearance in the game. There are 2 people that insist, "I am the real summon master." Takuma gets slave-turning magic used for summoned beasts cast on him by the girls. However, the peculiar ability, Magic Reflection, was invoked. The ones that were turned to slaves were the girls. Takuma was bewildered. He's the strongest magician, but he doesn't have any social skills. Panicking, the first words that came out were the ones that he used inside the game role-playing the Demon King. "I'm amazing, you say? Of course I am. I am Diablo, the one feared as the Demon King." This is the story of the Demon King acting that would soon inspire the world and his otherworld adventure that he plunges through with his absolute strength. It raises the curtain. Again, so I play video games and get summoned to a world like my video game, Overlord. Very similar. I don't know much about this series, obviously, because there's no English translations and there's not even alternate ways of looking at this series. Sounds very much to me like it's going to be a very like harem-ish and probably, you know, a little bit of sexual humor type thing. I mean, slave girls. Anyway, so at number 5, we have, with 11,106 volumes sold, the Shinobu Monogatari, so the latest in the Monogatari series. This one, of course, was volume number 1 last week, so it's dropped a couple of points. Now, I said last week, and I'll always reiterate when we have ones that are licensed, this one is licensed by Vertical. Nisei Monogatari Volume 2 is out this month, like right at the end of August, so that will be 6, I take that back, 6 volumes of Monogatari that have been released officially in English, and the next volumes, Neko Monogatari, will actually start being released in November. So only have a couple months and we'll get more Monogatari. Number 4 with 13,390 volumes sold, Bleach, Can't Fear Your Own World, volume number 1. Now this is really interesting. This is actually set after the Bleach series. It's a side story. Now it is being serialized on Jump Plus's sort of digital service. And what it looks to me is that they've now collected those serialized parts and combined them into a single novel. And obviously it's not going to be the only one. And this one is actually being written by Narita Ryogo, who is the author of Durarara and Bakano. So yeah, kind of a decent author to be getting involved in this. It involves Shuhei Hisagi. So he was one of the vice commanders of one of the sort of Shinigami groups, must throw himself into a new fight as the mystery that Kaname Tosen left behind resurfaces. The story reveals more details about the four noble families, the Soul King, Arankar, and Fullbringers. So, if you love Bleach, maybe we'll get this. I mean, like I said, my thinking on this is that it is very likely that Viz will end up bringing this out. Viz has done a whole, like, pretty much in terms of light novels that Viz puts out, they are typically light novels based on the properties that they already are putting out, either the manga or the anime or both. And Viz, of course, is right behind Bleach in the English language, so it wouldn't surprise me if we see this one from Viz eventually, maybe once the serialization has finished its run and, the volumes are complete. But at this point, there is no release for it officially. At the third spot, we have Uchiage Hanabe Shitakara Miru-ka Yoko Kara Miru-ka, aka Fireworks, Should We See It from the Side or Bottom? And what's interesting is that this is again a novel adaptation of an original anime movie, which actually, funny enough, is an anime movie version of a live action movie that came out in the 90s. Now, I found the synopsis on IMDb of that original live action movie, and so it says, on the day when a fireworks display is planned, Norimichi Yusuke and their friends at school in a Japanese seaside town cannot agree whether or not fireworks are flat or round when they explode in the sky. So with her parents divorcing, the young teenager Nazuna has more serious matters on her mind. Although unknown to the others, Nazuna's mother intends to take her away after the summer break. When Norimichi and Yusuke race 50 meters in the swimming pool, Nazuna secretly decides that the winner will accompany her when she runs away from home. Meanwhile, the gang from school decides that the best way to figure out the shape of fireworks is to view them from the side, and they set out for a lighthouse above the beach from which the fireworks display will be fired. So, again, this sounds like sort of that slice of life, teenage romance. It could be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how the film does. From what I can see, it's releasing August, I think it said 18th of this year in Japan. So the novel's actually come out beforehand, and apparently has done fairly well. It's at the number 3 spot for this week. Occupying the second spot is a Konosuba spin-off novel. It's Konosuba Extra, and it features characters Dust and Evan. Now, if you've watched the anime, you might know who these characters are. From what I read, they weren't featured, at least Dust wasn't featured too heavily in the anime. Because I've only read the light novels that are available in English, I have no idea who these characters are because they have not yet appeared in the light novels. But again, we're only getting volume number 3 released in the 22nd of this month. So we still have a little while till we get even the 3rd volume of Konosuba. At spot number 1, because we're talking about Konosuba, it is volume 12 of Konosuba. So Konosuba owns the number 1 and number 2 spot. Again, we are only at volume 3 come the end of this month. So we are still a ways behind on the Konosuba releases. So those are the top 15 selling light novel volumes for the week of July 31st to August 6th. I hope that there's some interesting information in here. I'm hoping that we're going to get to some lists that don't have so many multiple spots occupied by the same series. I find it really interesting looking at the ones that are not yet licensed that I'm not familiar with, taking a look at like the cover art, finding out sort of what the story is about. That's the kind of stuff that I really am interested in, and that's kind of why I'm doing this list and hoping that you guys are getting something out of it as well. So hopefully we'll have some more unique titles on the list as we go. They are just releasing the top sellers for July. Now, I believe what I might do is I might do July, but I might do the actual top selling series as opposed to the top selling volumes, but we'll see how that plays out. In the meantime, I will continue on with these weekly lists. So I incorporated some of your suggestions from last week. If there's anything new that you kind of think about or you'd like incorporated, by all means, put that in the comments down below. If you're brand new to the channel, I'm going to do this kind of video every single week, so subscribe so you don't miss any of those videos. Plus, of course, I do a ton of light novel reviews. Thank you all for joining me again in this video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Till then, bye-bye for now.